Hello, everybody. My name is Randy Lown. I'm your host for Project Volunteer, and I am tickled for this show, Project Volunteer. We inspire and educate people to volunteer in their community. And today I'm talking to my good buddy, Jeremy Stevens. Jeremy is the director of Habitat for Humanity in Owensboro, Davis County. We're going to be learning a little bit about your story, Jeremy, what led you here. We're going to be learning about Habitat for Humanity, volunteer opportunities. We're going to share some inspirational stories and quotes at the end. We're just going to talk about it all. You ready to get it going?
I am ready, Randy. Thank you so much for this opportunity to talk about this organization that I love.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to be talking about a lot, but let's start right off the bat. Tell folks a little bit about yourself, maybe even what led you to this position you're in now.
Okay. Well, I went off to school to do great things in the world. And when I first matriculated, my goal in life was to become a music teacher. And I did that for a little while. When I was in that education sector doing my thing, teaching choir and band and orchestra to elementary kids, I had big dreams and low budgets. And so my principals would always tell me, Jeremy, you can do whatever you want, but you got to raise your own money. And so I got crash course and baptism in fire and grant writing. And so I did a lot of that as a young educator, which a lot of folks don't do it that route. They generally don't have to do their own grant writing for their mediums in education. But I got into that and I learned by failure for many years over until I got pretty good at it. That really was my tiptoe and testing the waters into what the nonprofit world is. From there, I got into the arts nonprofit world, and I worked over at the Owensboro Symphony for almost a decade and did some grant writing for them. But I was mainly their director of operations and community engagement. Did a lot of educational events as well. Um, and then shortly thereafter, that really did teach me. I knew the funding aspect of it when I got there, and then being part of such a wonderful organization that is the Owensboro Symphony, I learned how nonprofits work and function and how to manage them. And so I felt like I had a good background for that. So whenever the position that I am in now became open, I thought, well, that should be easy. I know nonprofit work, I know grant writing. What I didn't know though is how to build a darn house. So that was something I also had to learn, but that was probably the most exciting part of it all. So that's my broken road to lead to becoming an executive director of a what I like to call a nonprofit Christian construction company.
Yeah,
How's
man.
that?
That's awesome. What a great story. I didn't know all of that. I knew you'd played music. You and I had played music in the past, but I never knew that you were a music teacher. That's interesting. That's where you started out. And you still
Yes,
do
sir.
music and still love music. So that's great. And yeah, so thank you for sharing your story, what led you here. Now you are the director of Owensboro Davis County Habitat for Humanity. There's people out there watching or listening right now that says, you know what? I've heard the word Habitat for Humanity, but I'm not exactly for sure what it is. So give us the scoop.
Sure, man. I mean, yeah, I bet they have heard of Habitat. It is an international brand. It's been around for almost 50 years. The
Yeah.
premise behind it is based upon partnership housing. That's where it all started back in the late 60s, early 70s with a gentleman by the name of Millard Fuller. He was really the founder of Habitat across the world. And he was a very wealthy man that could travel to remote places in the world, and he saw how some people lived. And so he took these principles of you help me build a house and I'll help you build a house. You put in your time, we'll put in time for you. Service before others so you can serve yourself. And so that was really the founding principle of Habitat for Humanity. And as it grew through the 70s and 80s, we had an advocate in by the name a lot of people know in President Jimmy Carter, who really started to identify with our mission and really blew up Habitat for Humanity in the United States using a former president to do that. It was very successful. He was pretty much the face of the organization for a very long time. And so we have, as of today, over 1,500 of we call them affiliates of Habitat for Humanity across our nation. Everything from small towns like us to major metropolitan areas like Los Angeles, Chicago, and even Louisville. And some areas are so big they have more than one.
Hmm.
And the goal these days is two-tiered. We are trying to take people, give them an opportunity to find success through home ownership. We know what home ownership can do and change the generations to come in their family through that. The second tier of that though is through the process where they're helping us build houses for other people, we're also giving them and providing for them workshops and continuing education in financial management and budgeting. We are trying to set them up to where they know what it goes into owning a home so that they don't have to call people to fix things. So again, that's another monetary way where they can save their money and change the generations to come. And so it's really become a multifaceted program that we call Habitat's Home Ownership Program. We accept applications to join it just like any other bank would for a home loan on a house. And I do want to stress, I always stress, we don't give these houses away. These people these people and families, depending upon their situation, put in over 500 sweat equity hours, is what we call them, on projects throughout what can sometimes be 2 to 3 years until they graduate and get keys handed over to them. And then in the end, they get a specialty mortgage based upon their income and what they can afford to pay. So these folks have put in their time, their energies, their efforts, and in the end, they put in their own money.
Yeah, man. Yeah, the sweat equity part is what I was always impressed with working with Habitat through the years that I've been able to volunteer personally and doing other projects with you all. I always thought that was great. I always loved meeting like the homeowners. We might be working on the house and that actual homeowner be there working on their own house, but also at the same time there's several other men and women that are putting in their sweat equity for future homes. So I always love the fact that anytime that I've been on site at a Habitat for Humanity build, there are the homeowners and future homeowners right there working right next to all of the volunteers. That's pretty cool, man.
There's something special about it, Randy. There really is. Whether you're just a volunteer who's showing up to bless others, or you're a sponsor who wrote a big check so that we can make the project happen, working side by side with people who are trying to better their and their family's life through hard work. There's something special about that, and to me, that's really why Habitat works. It's a program where we're giving. We say it all the time. We don't give handouts. We give hand ups, but also we allow that feeling, that what we call the warm and fuzzies, for everyone involved, whether you're a
Yeah.
volunteer or you're writing a check or you're actually going through the program. Everybody working together to bless other people.
Yeah, sometimes, not always, but sometimes if you just give someone something free and without any kind of connection at all, just give them something. It's good, don't get me wrong, but sometimes a person may not appreciate it quite as much as when they have a little something in the game, right?
Absolutely. Well, sometimes 2 to 3 years of stuff in the
Yeah.
game, their
Yeah.
life, and that this program is difficult. You got to balance your life, your work, your family, your church, your socials, everything you do socially out in the world. You got to balance your budget. They're going to spend more money while they're doing this because they're driving around more to different places. They're going to help us with our fundraising. They're going to give hours in distributing marketing materials in the community, and it is very, very difficult. So they have a lot of skin in the game by the time they even get close to being assigned a property that we can build a house on. And that's why when they're working beside people who like Randy Lanham shows up on the site, they're going to tell you, I'm in the program. This is my house. They're already proud of what they've done, and they're proud that they're going to live there and raise their kids there. And so it's a very special thing.
It really is. I've always loved Habitat. I've always loved being on the builds and being around everybody. And it always feels like to me, just it feels like everybody there are just friends, and it's like a big family to me because it's not like, and even if there's different projects going on with different groups, it just has that warm, fuzzy, good feeling. Even if it's 120, you're out there sweating like, oh, give me a Gatorade or water or whatever. Let me go take a break. But everywhere I go and everybody I talk to is just so happy and so inviting and so welcoming. Like, come on, let's get this done. Let's work together to better somebody's life, man. What a great gift it is for us to be able to use our talents, our God-given talents to give back and help others. And man, it shows when you go to a Habitat build. That's for sure, man. I love it. Well, Jeremy, let me ask you about maybe some insight or statistics. That's so hard for me to say.
You got
You
it.
might be able to share about Habitat. Maybe, I mean, I know locally you all build a lot, but let us give us a little insight on that.
Well, I'll give you some good and bad numbers. How about that? So, the housing industry as a whole, across Owensboro, across Kentucky, across the nation, is pretty stark right now. The available housing stock for anyone in the area median income from 30% to 80% is pretty bad. Going to buy a new house is there's a lot more zeros than there used to be, and folks are in a bad place. That is the folks we serve, the folks that can't go to the bank or a lending institution for whatever reason. Some of it may be self-inflicted, some of it just may be market driven of why they can't get that loan. Those are the folks we serve. Um, and some bad numbers, some bad statistics are that in the state of Kentucky, they just did a housing assessment. We are woefully short across Kentucky, something to the tune of 5 million housing units that we could use just in Kentucky. And they average that across the next decade. We'll be 5 million short. No matter how much we build, we'll be that short. The other side statistic that we get all the time, unique to Kentucky, is 6 out of 10 families can't go to a bank and get a loan for a house because of either bad credit history, or the market has pushed house appraisals to a point where they can't get a loan for that amount. And so they're stuck in the rental cycle and not able to capitalize on home ownership and like I said before, changing that generational wealth issue without. Now, what I'll tell you, in Owensboro, Davis County, we have a rich history since 1988 of building houses, affordable houses in our community. As of yesterday, we just closed on the 162nd house in our community, which we're mighty proud of. And in that time, we had an economic impact statement or impact study done that gave us a statement that showed that we have injected over $12 million into our community through those builds, and that our homeowners are contributing over $300,000 a year to our property taxes in our community. And so it's just, I like to call it a revolving door. I think I've even told you that before, Randy, that
Yeah.
the revolving door works all the way around. People come in the door looking for help, and when they come out, they're blessing the community with their property taxes. But when they make their mortgage payments, that goes back in that revolving door to our build fund, because the money comes right back to Habitat, so that we can keep doing the same thing over and over. So
Yeah.
it's a good system that we have. Now I'll tell you that the revolving door sometimes doesn't move as fast as we want it to,
Yeah.
whether it's building materials or weather, or some days volunteers don't show up like they do, or funding, or whatever it is. But it's a good feeling every day to know that the folks that you've already served are helping you serve other people.
Man, what I love Habitat. I just love the whole thing, everything about it. Hey, let's dive in and talk about some volunteer opportunities. There's lots of ways. Obviously, the first thing people in people's heads probably right now are like, okay, I'm gonna go swing a hammer. There's builds, but there's also fundraising, there's also promotion, there's also monetary needs. So let's just get into all the different ways a person can volunteer and help Habitat for Humanity wherever they live.
Sure. Yeah, we want people to swing a hammer, and that is what we are known for, providing that opportunity. And I love. I didn't know it when I came along, but I love how we make that possible for
Mhm.
anyone of any age. We've had elementary kids helping us build walls. Now we've got to be careful there, but we can do it. We've had retired folks. We've had senior citizens. We've had folks with disabilities come in and help us build. It's an amazing thing. Now, we need that, but there's hundreds of other ways you can help us. We have committees where we need, you know, uh, higher thinking folks to help us think through how we do things and can we do them better through our homeownership program. We need board members to help us stay ethical in our finances and help govern the organization. We have uh, build days, we have paint days, we have days when we're trying to distribute materials throughout the community to show the ways that you can volunteer. We have fundraising opportunities. That's the one thing about a small but mighty nonprofit, Randy, is that you can have big dreams about a fundraiser, but then you got to have enough people to pull it off. And
Right.
I know you know all about that at Volunteer Owensboro. So there are plenty of ways, and I'll tell you the easiest way to get started with us is to go to our website, habitatowensboro.org, and there then just follow the links there. You, if you want to volunteer, You'll fill out the information. It'll go straight to our office here. We'll contact you and we'll see what the best way you can serve is. On the other side of that, if you're a person that says, I really believe in affordable housing, but I'm not going out there in 100-degree heat, and I'm not going to be swinging a hammer in July. I'm sorry, Jeremy. When that's okay, there's this really handy donate here button on our website. You click that button, and you can help us serve our mission in our community as well at any level. And we can take your one-time donation or set you up on a monthly rotation and whatever you like.
So every community has their own. So you said earlier how many there are in the United States. So a person could find their own local habitat as well. I'm sure if they just do a web search, they'd be able to find the one closest to them and get involved that way, right?
Absolutely. You do need to be careful because there are so many, and we have our own websites. And of course, Habitat International has a website. And I'm not going to say don't give to them, because what they do internationally is astounding. They go to countries that are impoverished, that don't have clean drinking water. They go to places that we couldn't even imagine, and they build houses for folks there as well. So don't let me stop you from giving to a cause, the same cause in another part of the world. But our local website is habitatowensboro.org. And what I like to tell people is, if you're going to give us $1, 100 of those pennies are going to the Build Fund. Not 1 cent is going anywhere else. It's not going to pay me or anyone else here. It's not going to pay our benefits. We have a different structure in place for that. You give me $1, that dollar is going to go 100% back into your community.
Wow, man, that's awesome. That's good to know that. People don't realize that. I'm sure a lot of times when you go to make a donation, when it comes down to it, you just got to kind of trust the organization because you don't know exactly. But that's nice to know that if a donation is made here locally, that 100% of that is going to go to help someone that needs a house being built. So that's awesome. Yeah, and just really quick, like if they were to show up on site, you mentioned, putting up walls, painting. What are some other things? I think landscaping is.
Oh,
So
yeah.
give us just a little bit of a list of things you would do on site.
Everything from working a saw to swinging a hammer, landscaping, painting. There's always a need for cleaning. Believe it or not, we get to that. We just went through this because we closed on a house and dedicated it yesterday, and we got to the finish line there, and construction's done. And then we look at the property, and it looks like a construction zone, right? And so we spend a week just making sure it's presentable and beautiful for that new homeowner. And of course, we need people to do that. There's plenty of opportunity from start to finish on every build. If you were to show up on the site, the first thing we would do is we would have you sign some paperwork, and then we would walk you through a safety seminar so that you could stay safe. We're proud to say at Habitat Owensboro Davis County, we haven't had an injury on our construction site in over a decade. And so we've got a really good system to give the training you need on no matter what the activity it is, and make sure you can do it safely and efficiently. We
Yeah, that's
really do want people to have value in what they did when they walk away. We want them to know that every second they spent on that site was valued and valuable to the people they're serving.
I'm glad you mentioned that because sometimes I think people don't show up to a volunteer opportunity or don't sign up for a volunteer opportunity because they think, well, I don't know how to do construction. I'm just going to get there and grab a hammer and start hitting. No, you're paired up with people that know what they're doing and will train you, right?
Absolutely. One of the most amazing things. I was a little worried about that when I became a director, because, as I said, I didn't know how to build a house when I took this job. And I was really worried about that. We are so very blessed at this affiliate of Habitat that we have such a strong group of people who give up their time, have the skill sets, and also have the ability to partner up with people beside them in a very patient and calm way, and teach them anything that needs to be done that day. We've just got such a wonderful group. We call them our core volunteer group, and there's 20 plus people that show up every single week that we're working. And I would say 40% of their time is bringing in new people and saying, this is how we do it. We're going to stay safe by doing this. And in the end, you're going to do it right beside the person you're building the house for. It's just such an amazing process that we have here.
I love it. I love it. Hey, I just want to spend like 1 minute talking about if someone's listening to this and they don't have a habitat in their community, maybe you can help me inspire them in ways to do something similar. I'm not talking about starting a nonprofit organization. For instance, a church group can go out and help. Maybe they have a church member in there that needs some work done to their house, and they can gather together as a group and go help them. What are some other ways? Again, not trying to start a nonprofit organization necessarily, but something that they could do in their community if they don't have a Habitat for Humanity.
And there's a lot of communities like that. And the thing you can do is the same thing we do every day. We're a 99% volunteer network at Habitat for Humanity. We have some administration that has to be here, obviously, but we run on volunteers. And so that's what I encourage people to do is gather together. We are stronger together. If you see something that is worthwhile and serving to other folks, gather the forces together. You do see a lot of church groups. There's other organizations, Help Build Hope. They go from city to city helping build walls. They don't do the foundational work. They don't do any of the tradesmen work, but they'll come to your town if you're a church or a group that wants to have that catalyst moment to get things going in a big way. There's groups like that. I often think of organizations like the Peace Corps. That's essentially the mission that we're doing as well. People are gathering. They're not expecting to be paid. They're giving of their time to other folks because they know there's a need that needs to be filled. And so I encourage people every single day. It's worth your time. There's such value in giving to other people, And Randy, I'm lecturing you on it. This is what you do, right?
Oh man, I hope a lot of people out there realize, and if they don't, man, what a blessing it is.
Mm,
God gives us any kind of blessing at all. When we are able to find out what that is and give it away, share it with others, I just feel like it's the best blessing of all. And I cannot tell you how many volunteers I have talked to through the years with so many different nonprofit organizations that say, I get more out of this than the person that I'm helping. And I believe that's because we are designed to help one another. So it could be as simple as if you're lucky enough to have a Habitat for Humanity in your community signing up, but it could be as simple as, hey, let me gather together some of my friends because one of my neighbors down the street, one of my elderly neighbors needs some gutters cleaned. They need
mhm.
some work on their garage. You know what? Their washer broke down, and we're going to go down there and help them fix it. So it could be some things even as simple as that, right?
We are called to serve, my friend. We are called to serve. And the thing that I always like to remember is that everyone at some point in their life, there's not anyone who's ever lived a life that hasn't needed help sometime.
That's
And if we're
right.
called to serve and we have been in that same position, we would want to be served as well. And sometimes pride gets in that way, sure, but everybody needs a hand up. And we're all capable, no matter what our skill sets are, of doing that for others.
Yeah, at Project Volunteer, we like to say hands on, hand up. So that's
Oh, I
get
like
down
that.
there and not just a handout, but like you said, and like many others say, we're giving them a hand up and hands on, meaning let's get active, let's be proactive. Matter of fact, maybe not even wait till somebody comes and knocks on your door or give you a call and say, come help me. Maybe we need to open our eyes and see the need around us and then go get her done, man. That's how
Yeah.
a lot of times it's happened for me. A lot of times I've been asked by somebody to come and help. And a lot of times, through the years, if I see it, I'll just start calling up buddies and saying, hey, let's go get this done, man. This is a need. And most of the time they all are like, yeah, man, let's go do it. So it's great. Hey, Jeremy, I tell you what, last few minutes of our interview here, I want you to share an inspirational story. Maybe this just inspiration, or maybe you have a particular story that you can share to get people going out there. I want them to know, I want them to know that warm, fuzzy feeling sometimes that we do get when we help somebody.
Yeah. I gotta say, Randy, my job is a warm and fuzzy moment. It really is. It's a lot of hard work to run a nonprofit in general, and fundraising is nonstop, and it can get to you just like anything else. But yesterday is the perfect example. We dedicated a house, and that's the end. We've already filled out all the legal paperwork, and we gather as a volunteer group, and we pray. We thank God that We got it done without anybody getting hurt. We blessed the house, we blessed the family. And then that magic moment when you turn the keys over to a person who's never owned anything in their life. It is such a special and magical moment I've seen folks that have been in that and have cried and have laughed with joy. I've seen family members rejoice with them. I've seen kids run into their first ever room that they'll ever call their own. There's nothing like a roof to call your own, a space to feel safe and comfortable in, and being able to provide a path towards that for people is the best thing I have ever done in my life.
Man, so your inspirational stories are every day, all the time. And even when you start and going through everything, eventually you get those moments where here's the keys. And
That's
then
right.
it all comes together, don't it? It's like I've
It,
been working hard and all these volunteers and all this that made this happen. Now here's your keys to your new home that you earned. Man, that's awesome. What that is inspiration. You get to live it all the time. How awesome is that? You're a blessed man. I'm telling you,
yes,
man.
I am. Yes, I am. And you know, I think we touched on this a little. So we had we had one of those celebrations yesterday for our newest Habitat family. And then I go home and it makes me appreciate what I have even more, you
Yeah.
know? And it's just,
Yeah.
it's the ever revolving door. Around and around we go. It makes you cherish what you have, the time you have on this earth that the Lord gives us, the people that are in your life and that you can love. It's just a beautiful thing.
It is. All right, last thing, man. Share a quote with us. A good quote that makes you feel good, makes you motivate you.
I got a good one, and I'll give you just a little background on this. So I took over as executive director, and I took over for a lady that had done it for 28 years as a pure volunteer. So this is a perfect time to share this quote. Miss Virginia Braswell uh, gave me this piece of paper with a quote on it the day that I walked in this office, and it says, "Don't ever question the value of volunteers. Noah's Ark was built by volunteers, but the Titanic was built by professionals." How about that?
Virginia is so cool. I always
Yes,
tell
she
people,
is.
I've told her for years, I said, I want to be you when I grow up. I'm still waiting to grow up, but I want to be Virginia Braswell when I grow up still to this day. I love
We
that
should
woman.
we should all aspire to do so. She's an amazing human being.
She certainly is. Well, Jeremy, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your story, your insight to Habitat for Humanity. And folks, if you're watching and listening, listen, no matter what you're called to do, be proactive in it. Just go out there and do it. We can sit on our hands and sit at home and think about other people doing the work. But you know what? I just encourage people to go out there, get your hands dirty. Let's all come together in your community, do something good for somebody else without wanting anything in return. And I promise you, you'll be blessed beyond measure. What a great feeling it is. Thanks again, Jeremy. Thanks everybody for watching or listening, and we will see you all the next time. Bye.